That Ace of Swords at the end of the month is interesting. So it could be a low rather than a peak. It's tough. There's a peak and a crest there, and I feel like it might be a low. Anyhow, we were off on the gap down. That pretty annoyed there. But we had this rally ending along a diagonal, ending with a fast sudden move higher, and then a breakdown through the diagonal. Revisit a support. And that's also the piece. This price level here is we marked it off somewhere else as well. Looks like we got rid of the. So that's interesting. So on the 4th, we had the peace card here around 11:12. Maybe a little late. It's a little late. But you could say we saw the peace card there and then again here. And sometimes that's what'll happen. That's one of the techniques in order to be able to predict price patterns or price levels. Sometimes you can do that looking at like a repeating card with the same price level associated with it on a chart. Hey Karthikeyan. Hey Robert. Hey Carolyn. Hey B. Hey AV. IWM looking this week. Or is that a right Russell? I see it go moving higher. It may move higher out of it, like a little bit of a decline, and it looks like it's the futility card. So it could be a lot of negative headwinds, or it could be a combo of negative headwinds and some like scary technical chart pattern type of stuff to the downside. But there's a big move out of it, like an unexpected move to the upside, ending in like a bullish kind of direction. PLT earnings are today. Do I still expect a pop tomorrow? Let's see. Stay trading altitude. Stay proof. What will be the trend direction response to PLTR earnings? Yeah, there's a move to the upside, but it's going to offer opportunity to take profits or open up a short position. That's PLTR. How S&P today gap up and looks bullish throughout the day. How about tomorrow? Yeah, likely a gap up or move higher, and then in the pre-market we kind of top off of a bullish position, see some downturn, and then around the open another rally into a high, like increasing in momentum as we move forward into the high. That's where there's a trade opportunity. And if we were to open like really like high up, like a big move to the upside, I would say there's more likelihood of us ending bearish at the end of the day. If it's not that big of a move to the upside overnight, then I'd say less likely, but it does look like there's a move to the downside at the very end of the day, like possibly the Magus card, but here around the close. Will NFLX stock hit 400 by the end of this week? Yes or no? Yes, I love you too, Hermes. I got a yes for that. Hermes. Come on, buddy. Not right in my face. I gotta do my recording, little guy. Let's back it up. Let's back it up. What does Bone Shiba swap look like for October? We've got a 10-year coming out for Bone pretty soon as well. For Bone and Baby Doge and a few other ones. So, October. Notably bullish in October. Maybe the start of a multi-day rally there in October. Between now and October, there's this support level that's highlighted between now and October that's important on a pretty large scale, like multi-day scale. Hey Conrad, SoFi QSU PST came down a lot. Will they do well in August? If not, how about September? What will be the trend of SoFi in August 2023? It's kind of sideways rotation, kind of mixed, but mostly sidewaysy. And September looks like a pop and drop for SoFi. For QS, what's the overall trend in August 2023? Looks like it's mixed, but to the downside after a failed attempt to break through resistance. And then in September, mixed, but to the downside it looks like as well. UPST in August 2023 overall trend direction. It's multiple failed attempts to break through key resistance, so we may have like some moving to the upside, but we'll be capped off. And UPST in September, overall trend direction. Significantly bullish, almost irrationally so. On the S&P monthly, it shows a peak between the 8th and 9th. Do you think that peak will be in the morning of the 9th before a decline? Okay, so it may be that we see it twice. Um, the labradorite stone near the high here might be a peak. If we have a notable move to the downside at the end of the day here, then I would say the peak's probably here on the 9th with this labradorite. But if we don't have a notable decline and we end up like with a high here at the end of the day, which I think is unlikely, but let's say this Magus card moves significantly to the upside and we end up higher, I would say then that would probably be the peak right there. Hey, Tabriz. Do I think we will fill the 455 gap this week before CPI on the 10th? Yeah, there's probably a notable move here overnight to the upside. Hard for me to determine that. Let's see. Well, let me look at the daily real quick. I think if we filled that gap, um, I think if we fill that gap, it's going to be tomorrow. Probably in the morning, but I'm not so sure about that. Let's see. Do we fill that 455 gap before the 10th? Interesting. Let me shuffle that up again. Yes or no? It looks like we do, actually. I got the Aeon card. And technically we would be pushing the upper end of a range here higher if we filled that gap. Yeah, see, there's a pretty big move into this peak or crust to the upside. And since... Well, actually, this is a pretty big move higher right here. I was going to say, since I don't really see it, and then there's the overnight, what makes me think maybe we end up bearish is because we have these bearish cards at the end of the day. We've got this arrowhead indicating downward direction. And we have a nullified swiftness card indicating that we have a move higher, but it's somehow made irrelevant by chart behavior afterwards. So we probably have this move higher, and then we decline from there toward like the second half of the day. And I would probably close out of a long position right here. Or I would open up a short position. A short position might be a little risky. But I would probably close a long position right here in the morning. What is the best day to short NFLX and Meta? All right, so Meta. Oh, it's the wrong chart. All right. Best day to short Meta. I don't think I would short Meta. I wouldn't short Meta at this point. The short was here on the first second. You could say the first, really, where the peak is, but that was the short right there. There's a short around the 14th, 15th. If the 14th ends up being to the upside after the 11th being a decline, then I would say that the highest high is there. And if it doesn't, if it ends up being a decline as expected, and then the next day we have this big move to the upside, I would say the high there, and you want to short it off of that, and then close in the morning, the very next morning. But it's risky. It's not like a auspicious month to be shorting. I'm not sure why you want to short those two, anyways. Hey, Proof, LPT coin. Overall trend. What's the overall trend direction of LPT coin throughout August 2023? I got mixed. I got the Princess of Swords. So you could probably position yourself. There's going to be some volatility here. You could probably position yourself in both directions around a lot of price change near a key resistance level. So let's see if I can get anything better than that. I got the Queen of Cups. It's pretty mixed. The thumbnails for the YouTube videos are looking sharp. Appreciate it, Conrad. You're welcome. You're welcome, AV. Do I sense that there's a clear trade tomorrow for SPY, or is it best to see how the day goes and trade later on in the day to see how things pan out? Um, if we have a decline to lower price level here around the close, like if we go lower than this price level here, into the close, I would say right around the close, you might open up a long position and close it tomorrow morning. It's pretty mixed though, so I wouldn't wait for the second high. I would do the first high. And then I would probably wait until the end of the day to see the direction that the market is. Like, is it going to open to the downside? Which way does this Magus card go, in other words? And you can see Magus right there. I think we probably go higher into the ninth anyways. I just have a sense, even though it's a bearish day, I kind of have a feeling we go higher into the ninth. And then should be bearish kind of like overall. Is today a good day to long gold and close on the 10th? I mean, I can take a look, but the gold, we discontinued the gold because it was just too kind of like a flat of a chart for like an effective ESO meta reading. Long and gold and close on the 10th. No, I probably wouldn't. It's just not, there's nothing like prominent enough for that to like seem like a good idea. Maybe, I mean, maybe you could get away with it, but it's not like there's going to be better opportunities. Can you do an update on SPCE? How low do you think we go in August? I mean, these should be the lows right here. This was a peak and then a peak. Or really, no, more so this was a peak right here on the 7th. We went up and then back down from a peak to lowest low. Yeah, I mean, we may see roughly the same low tomorrow, but I don't foresee us going lower than this. These are the lows right here for the month. Not many happy customers. New thumbnails are smoking. Appreciate it, Carolyn. Do I think the low is in for Bitcoin? I think we're probably going to see roughly the same low before we take that big move higher, because there's like failed attempt to break through resistance here in the early part of August, and then we push the upper end of the range higher eventually here towards the end of the month. But I think we probably revisit the low here around the 11th. I don't foresee it being lower. It's gonna, because this is really a bullish kind of thing going on. Like, there should be a notable move to the upside throughout August. General trend direction for NVIDIA, NVDA, throughout the week. It's mixed. We have a rally along a diagonal trend line, but it ends with a fast sudden move higher, and then the breakdown with increasing volatility as we break down through that diagonal trend line. Appreciate it, Tabraze. Hopefully the thumbnails get us more clicks. So overall, it's looking bullish, Carolyn. Overall, it's looking bullish, with the most notable move to the upside Wednesday, Thursday, more so Thursday. How much money will Conrad lose? All right, so yeah, see, we may have a little bit of a drop here at the end of the day, indicated by this clairvoyant anchor here, a low correlation around the close significator card, or I should say the close timeline card. But then I think we probably move to the upside overnight, and in the pre-market with a little bit of a downward turn, like that rally in the pre-market ends at a high, and then we decline, and then by the time we get to the open, we're rallying with increasing momentum back into a high again there in the first half hour. And I would look for that rally after the high, the drop, and then the rally. I would look for that rally when we reach a high again in the first half hour to close out a long position, if you are able to pick one up here in the midst of a drop at the end of the day. it may be that we see the high on the 8th and the 9th. And then what is that, the 14th? Yeah, this is looking like a good trade, actually. Just from which day? So there's a short trade here, like a swing trade for a short position. This is an interesting day. This is a really interesting day. But I would probably on the 9th here at the end of the day, in the midst of this notable move to the upside towards the close. Looks like it probably increases with momentum as we move forward from like 2 o'clock into the close. Right around the close, in the midst of that rally, I would open up a short position for a multi-day swing trade. And I would hold it until the 14th. I would get on the 14th. First thing in the morning, in the midst of a decline there, which will be a bit of a fake out with a high at the end. It looks like probably at the end of the day. Interesting that it looks like there's a low here on the 16th, 15th, 16th for gold. And there's a low here on the 14th for SPY. We may not see that move. There's only 10 minutes left. We're still moving to the upside there. If it comes, it's going to be right at the close, though. See, this is bumping along resistance, and you can see that's what we're doing right now. Excuse me. You're welcome. Instead of the 14th, can we keep it until the 23rd before the reversal you talked about it in SPY? Well, I probably wouldn't hold it until the 23rd. It's just a really long short, and they're called long short. They're called short for a reason. I mean, the getting out on the 14th, it looks like a pretty reliable trade there. Hermes. PLT and Datadog earnings view, please. We already did PLT, Karthikeya. Just check out the beginning of the video. It's going to have like the chart response will be to the upside, and it'll offer opportunity to take profits or close a position and open up a short maybe. Datadog earnings. Interesting. Thank you, Hermes. I love you too. What will be Datadog's earnings, DDOG's earnings result? Ace of Cups. Let's see what my notes say about earnings there. If anything, nothing. Ace of Cups, so that's a hard one to read for earnings. It's likely a positive earnings announcement. What's the chart response? What is the chart behavior in response to earnings? What is chart behavior? A rally at first increasing along a diagonal trend line, and it ends with a fast sudden move higher, and then a breakdown through that diagonal trend line with increasing volatility on the way down overall to the downside, starting out bullish. Is the stone above the 26th on the SPY supposed to be the same price as the low on the second? What date do you mean? There's the 26th is a weekend. Do you mean the 28th? And it doesn't indicate that. No, it indicates several things. The labradorite stones are really tricky. They're really really reliable, but hard to read, if that makes sense. Like what they say really does come through, but sometimes you read it wrong. It's not always easy because it's one of those. The labradorite stones require like a lot of intuition. They're very like situational. But what it's saying in this, what it might be saying, because I think this may be a high here, but there may be a lot of like, well, not a high side, but like a peak or crest here on the 28th. And there's probably a lot of price change because there's also a trough. And my sense is that this is probably a high and like our highest high until we see this high here around the 8th, 9th. And then which really I think was speaking about the first. And that would bring us back to the same price level basically on the 8th, 9th and cover that gap. And if that's the case, and this does end up being a high equivalent to roughly the 8th and 9th high, then this is most likely a low. So it might go from like a low to a high, and it may be that this is a lower price level than these lows in that case. But if it is, there's going to be a lot of price movement to the upside off of that low. How does QBTS look? D-Wave Quantum. Proof, what does that company do? I'm curious. D-Wave Quantum. For August, it's looking like some sideways behavior, bumping up through or bumping along resistance, maybe poking through it a few times, but then after maybe like the third poke, we drop pretty sharply. That's August for QBTS. QSI. I'm curious what QBTS, what they actually do. Quantum computing, interesting. And this would be another one, another quantum computing, the QSI, I'm guessing. What's the overall trend direction for QSI in the month of August 2023? I got the completion of a rally. It looks like that might even have already taken place, though. Yeah, it's to the downside. We're gonna have spikes up, but they're gonna get consecutively lower on the way, like as we go. So like consecutively lower spikes up on the way down. In other words. Cool. Quantum computing, huh? That's interesting. I'm gonna take a look at some quantum computing stocks. I've also got my eyes peeled for space mining. With that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, make sure to follow that rule of karma. You do so here on the resources tab of our website, Tarot for Traders, where we ask that you donate 5% of the profits that you make from this information forward to one of these charities through a click here link, super easy, and 5% of the profits back to the channel through one of these click here links as a thank you. Much appreciation, my friends. That leaves you at 90% of the money. Make sure to spend that money out of love. Universe will set it back to you tenfold through this channel, my friends. All right, have a good one, guys.